Hello everyone, I am finally back. So yeah, I had a GPU die on me, and then I found out that the warranty was 1 year, and it's 4 months over warranty, so I don't get my RTX 3080 back. So yeah, not too happy about that. Before that, I thought it was my computer that was dying, so I replaced my CPU and everything else, and then one day after that, the GPU died. So I'm like, okay, guess it was the GPU. So that's why I was offline. Spent about a week without a computer, so I was just doing like character building stuff in Google Sheets. So nothing crazy there. Last week I got it back, but then I had family over, so I didn't bother streaming or anything. But now I'm back, so I'm going to take it a little bit slow. Probably just do 30 minutes today. Just cover some of the stuff that I was able to get done, because I did get a few things done while I was had my computer back. So yeah, let's hop right in. So yeah, actually, I don't know why I'm at this screen. Let me go to the other screen. Levels. Yeah. So now we have multiple characters set. This is still just a demo level spawning characters, but I created a HUD with buttons and the name and little icons, and I'm going to show how to make icons from in-game to get it to show up nicely. So, and if you click on them, you get different ones, all that jazz. And then I finally got a little bit of movement working. It's pretty janky still because I'm just testing locally to make sure movement works. You'll notice, depending on how far it is, the curve that I set is like 1 second. So it's like, yeah, if it's a short movement, it goes really slow. If it's a long movement, it looks like it's moving really fast. So I need to make it adaptive to the length of the spline that it's following. And again, I'll cover all this now. And also you'll notice this weird little artifact. And I've been struggling with getting this fixed, but if we eject, we shall see all these splines are shooting out from the actor, my spline actor that I created, that generates them. I can't seem to get the right thing. Where is it? Where are you? This one? There we go. Yeah, it's just like shooting out from here, going up to wherever that is, and then starting from that point. And I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know how to fix it why. So yeah, that's been kind of a bummer to work with, but whatever. I'll fix it later. So, in-game screenshots. This is something because I'm not an artist. I'm not going to sit here and like draw these cubes or anything. So I figured it'd just be easier to take pictures of the in-game objects and then use them as texture icons, put it into my data table. Always get those mixed up. Inside of the data tablet or table. Yeah, like I said, brain's fried, tired. Yeah, so let's take a look at how you take screenshots in-game to create icons. Those are the imported ones. Where am I? HUD. Oh yeah, and again, I can't make this bigger. I can make this part bigger. Oh, and I lost all my files. Was another thing that happened with my computer dying. So I had to reinstall everything. Yeah, scale. Boop. Let's go about there. Okay, so in-game screenshots. So I created a new level. I have I just created a super simple blueprint for the character with the static mesh and the material. So static mesh, material, yada, yada, yada. And what you can do inside of Unreal, which is really nice, is if you go to, let's hide these. Yeah, just this guy. So we have this actor in game. And if you go to high resolution screenshot, and you can't see that at all, can you? Magnifier. This might be a little bit easier. High resolution screenshot. If you open that up, you get this nice little ugly thing. But if you click that, you get this nice little green screen. Oh, I bet it's going to mess up my everything. But yeah, you get the little green screen, and then you can basically just take a screenshot, and yeah. Or you can set the area. So I could set like this. Oops. Oh, that's weird. Why is it? It's not letting me get any bigger than that. Oh, there we go. Oh, this window's in the way. Let's try again. So if you do that, and then you can yeah, whatever. Accept any changes and then take screenshot. And you probably can't see it because it's, yeah, there we go. High resolution screenshots. Okay, this magnifier is driving me crazy. Where'd it go? Magnifier. Where are you? What's going on? There it is. Go back down. Thank you. So yeah, then you have your little screenshots here. I think this is the one I just took. So yeah, that's, one key aspect that took me a while to figure out was there's something you do need to set on the mesh. Oh, someone is telling me my screen sharing is not working. That is true. Why is that not working? Thank you for warning me. Let's see. Why is that not working? Oh, because yeah, everything got lost. I don't even remember how to do this. Blur, green screen. Oh my god, how do you even, yeah, game capture? Do I just like drag this? What the hell? Hide layer, show layer. Why is it not showing my screen? One second. Add layer. Nope, it's definitely there. It's just not fill, stretch, fit, edit, change. Oh, there we go. Full screen, entire screen. Oh man, sorry about that. Thank you for warning. Yeah, thank you for warning me about that. That definitely helped. So hopefully, now I'm gonna restart everything. Okay, let's go back. So where was I? And again, thank you, Bill, for the heads up, because that would have been super embarrassing if I recorded a 30-minute video of me just like looking at nothing. Okay, so I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'll show the movement stuff in a second. Let's just do the screenshots real quick. So, yep, where was I? High resolution screenshot, and I need to magnify again. So from here, you select high resolution screenshot, and then you can set this use custom depth mask as mask to set the green screen area. You can set a region that you want to take a picture of, and then you can basically just capture it, and then it saves it to a location on your project space. Go back out here, and then you have your high-res screenshots, which is really cool. And these are transparent too, so you can load them into whatever. You can drag them back in. I think I put them into Photopea to modify them a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty nice to be able to just take in-game screenshots, because then I don't have to draw stuff out. The one thing that you do need to set, and it took me a little bit to figure out, is on the, let me zoom in, on the static mesh itself, not the actor, but the static mesh that you want to take a picture of. You need to find this render custom depth pass and check that. If you don't check that, it does not show up. So I was like, huh, why is it not showing up? It's because you need to enable that one little flag, and then you can take your screenshots and go from there. So yeah, that's the how screenshots work. Let's go back to the level. So what I was trying to show, don't save, is this. We have our little characters here. When you select them now, it shows up the character name. This is all pulling it from the data table. So it has the icon as well. So inside of my data table, I re-imported those screenshots I just took, reference, and then inside of the icons, I just imported them in here, so you can see them here. And if you look at the data table for character data, we now have mesh, material, scale, rotation, and icon. So you just basically do the same thing as any other reference. You just right-click, oops, not that one, icons, right-click, and then copy a reference, and then you load it into however you're going to load the object. So that worked quite well. I do have the name mapped, but I don't have the the health, the base health and the current health, as well as the amount of shield you have and the energy that you have. So that is something I need to work on adding. But what I did get working was the movement. So it's like select a character here, and you move them, and then you can move this character over there, similar to what I was doing with the phaser engine. Basically, I create a spline and then have the actor follow that spline using a timeline curve, which I will detail later. But you'll notice immediately if I do a really short one, it moves really slow. And after a certain point, it's just going to like boop around. And it's going to create like crazy stuff because it's not wired up to really be doing this. But yeah, the whole goal of this was just to make sure I could get movement working, and then I can get it to do it over the network, because the client itself will never be drawing the path or moving along a path that it creates. The server is going to say, here's the path you're going to take. It takes those XY coordinates, translates it to the world F vectors, and then follows it, or adds them as a spline, and then follows the spline. And that's all done using the splines and this curve movement. So you'll see that I have this curve of like from 0 to 1, which basically means in 1 second it's going to move across that, which is the reason you're seeing that very slow movement with a small path and a very fast movement for a long path. So I'll need to either dynamically adjust the curve movement, or I don't know, figure something else out. But I'll figure it out so far. So that is the movement stuff. UI stuff. What else did I get done? Oh, the icons. And I think that's it for... Oh, yeah, let's... What time is it? Oh, man. Let's just hop right into the menu in-game HUD system. So what I did for this is I have this kind of top-level overlay. And this top-level overlay is made up of these... it's so weird. Why is it open one there and the other there? Zoom in a bit here. So this is the overlay. That's actually the layout of the UI. So once I add like the timer is going to go up here. The opponent's characters, your characters. I might even have a character list. But again, on mobile, you have very limited screen space, so I might not do that. We'll see. But also I could do two different UI overlays. So if you're on a mobile, you get one little kind of tiny UI, and if you're on a PC, then you'll get a bigger version with more details, which is probably what I'll end up doing. And I think that's what the Action RPG demo project from Unreal does. They have this nice little demo project called Action RPG that has pretty much everything. It's got like cutscenes using the in-game engine. It has mobile stuff, and it has their gameplay ability stuff, which I will talk about in a second here. But yeah, there's a lot of good details in there. And I also gave me some ideas on how to structure my code a little bit better, in particular delegates, and how to add and call and basically listen for events from delegates. So again, stuff I will cover. So UI, yes. As I was saying, there's the overlay, and then they have the individual components. Like this is the ability bar, and then the character detail bar. So you can work with these in isolation. So you can see I have this little, no, you can't see because Unreal doesn't let me make things bigger. Where is it? There you are. So inside of the character details, I got my size box, vertical box, character image, just a default one that gets set when you click on a character, just spacers and stuff, and then health bar. And these will all be mapped. These are progress bars, so they'll be mapped to values that will get updated via delegates. So that will be more interactive. Ability bar is not wired up yet. Obviously, it's just got the default text. It's going to have images, icons for each ability type, which I will need to create all of those. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do the in-game screenshot like I just showed, or just like buy some dumb little icon pack that somewhat looks like what I need, or at least give me ideas on how to create my own. So that's to be determined. But that's what it looks like from the blueprint side of things. I also have the HUD The HUD I basically just use for setting the overlay class. So I have a widget blueprint that I can set from here, and then it does all its magic of looking it up and instantiating it from the C++ code. So if we look at, let's look at the HUD stuff. So the HUD, as I mentioned, is very basic. It only has that T subclass of that overlay. So this U property edit defaults only, and the T subclass of lets me do that. What I just showed here adds this little battleometry HUD field here that allows you to set whatever. So that's what sets that. And then once you have that set inside of your class on begin play, you make sure you have a reference, otherwise it won't work. And then you just call create widget with the widget type, or in this case, I created a subclass of user widget because I have some kind of default properties that I want all the widgets to have. One of them is listening for delegates for characters, character information, because it's going to need to know like abilities and if there's any not abilities, effects that are active on the character, you'll want that to propagate up to the widget. So yeah, then you create the overlay class itself, and then you add to viewport, and you're good to go. So the base one, again, it just has this virtual function called onCharacterChanged, where it gives you the character slot and then the new character that was selected, so you can look up its properties and whatnot. And that is used by the character user widget, which has a reference to the character image, the character name, and again, it overrides those because it does different things where we need to set the visibility. So if there's no character selected, we don't want to show it. And once you do click on a character, it'll make it visible. And this is how you load the image dynamically. So you just get in my case, I'm loading it from the data table. So then I can just reference the .icon property, which is a uTexture 2D. And character name, yep, just set text, no big deal. Just translate it from the ftext. No, from an f string. And I'm thinking I should probably just make these fields ftext because they're mainly only going to be used in UI stuff, which uses ftext. I should probably change that later. Ability, as I mentioned, I have not implemented it yet. It's just checking for visibility right now. And that is the HUD system. One other thing that's going to need to be added here, well, a lot of things, but is the overlays on the characters themselves. So inside of the engine, when we hit play, it's very common and definitely something I would need to do is to have the health bar and the energy bar right above the character so it kind of travels with them. It's like a little tag above their character. And I'll need that for the opponents as well. So that's something else that needs to get added to the HUD. Other than that, it's just timers and other little UI gadgets, settings, all that good stuff you're used to seeing in a HUD. So that's HUD stuff. Let's look at what else did I really get done? Oh yeah, how to get that information on character changed, because this took me a little bit to figure out with the delegate system. And again, I copied it from the Action RPG, how they do it. So inside of the base character, I declared two. I think I only need one because one of them's for blueprints and the other one's for native code. You see the native and then just the other one. So by declaring this delegate and then this type here, this f on character changed, or is it this one? Where do I actually movement curve, get character data? I think I don't even remember where I used this. Is that on player controller? It was on player controller. Yep. So the player controller, because they handle the input, has a f character change and native property set on it, and then it exposes this get character change delegate as a virtual function, which can be overridden. And I had to create an interface for this. So if you see the battleometry character interface, it just has this f on character change. So this would implement that interface, so then I can cast to it and actually get a reference to it. So that's how that works. And more are going to be added in here, like on effect, like spell effect or whatever you want to call these, ability effect, or on like using something like clicking a button, stuff like that. It's going to have to get passed back and forth between what the character is doing and the UI. So this is going to be the main interface between those two types of interactions. So yeah, we get that. We have that on the base character, and then I think, on the player controller, which I think is an empty. Let me see. Nope. Yep. It just returns. Yeah. So then the other one that returns that, I think, where do I call this? I wrote this like a while ago, so I forgot where I defined it. Take your time. Take your time. There we go. Right, on the user widget. So when I initialize the user widgets, I get a reference to the player controller, and then I get the character change delegate, and then you add UObject with this class. So that's kind of how you get the reference to it, and then you can add to it. And it was weird, when I first started working with delegates, I was under the assumption that they were kind of like global, and you could just, like, as long as your signature matched and you had like the handler defined for it, you could just add it, but that's not the case. You actually have to find the original reference, and then add it almost like a list. At least that's my understanding now after trying to get this working for a while. So yeah, delegates are still a little bit of a mystery to me, but whatever. So far, so good. Yeah, that's the HUD. That's how the characters talk. Let's look at movement. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. I have this movement component that doesn't really do the movement. It's more of for handling the non-world movement, so the XY coordinates as opposed to the world coordinates, and it tracks all that kind of stuff. The movement itself now is in the character. So the character now has this, where is it? Not set abilities. Initialize movement, move character, process movement timeline, on end movement, because we need to know when it ends, which is actually a little bit nicer than, what was it? Phaser, because this phaser I had to like bunch everything up and then do some weird calculations to see if all the movements were complete. But this one just has this nice, you have a movement timeline, it starts, it ends, and when it ends you can fire off this event. So it's going to make it much easier to say all characters have moved, tell the server that we're ready to start the next round. So that's very nice. Movement curve, which is that asset I showed you in Unreal, the 1 second thing. Yeah, that's, oh, and this one has its own spline component as well. I just kind of, this is again just for testing, so I'm just dynamically generating the path from the level, and then from the selected path that I just clicked, and then it just generates it again. But let's take a look at this real quick. So on initialize, we create the spline component, set it to movable, otherwise we won't be able to move along it. Yep, we set the attachment up to the root component, which is our capsule, and I had to change collision to query only as opposed to like full-on physics, because although it was like getting stuck on the walls and stuff, and it was pretty bad. I ended up cheating, to be honest, because my characters are dynamically spawned. I can't create a blueprint. I guess I could create a blueprint and then spawn that, but honestly, like this movement curve, I'm not even sure I'm going to keep it, so I just use the constructor helpers FObject finder, which again is usually frowned upon from what I've heard, just because you're hard coding this reference. But I mean, if you think about it, I'm hard coding all the references in the data tables anyways, so it's like whatever. I'll just cheat this once. So yeah, you use the FObject finder to find the object, you make sure you have the object, and then you dereference it, or whatever this is, to assign it. So yeah, that's how you set those and use the FObject finder. Once that's done, I think initialize, that's just the character data. Don't care about that. Initialize movement. So, where do I call this from? I think I call from begin play. Yes. Okay. So we have a timeline float. We bind a progress function. So this is something that's going to get ticked every time that the movement is playing. And it's going to be an interpolation of the movement curve and, yeah, using the progress function. And then when it's finished, again, we call that that event handler for saying, hey, we're done moving. This set the timeline length mode. I don't know what other options are here. Actually, I'm kind of curious now. Last keyframe or timeline length. Whether or not the timeline should be finished after the specified length. Excuse me. Ugh. Right. So, I don't know. I'll play with that a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much how the movement gets set up. So it binds those two functions for you. And then, or methods, whatever you want to call them, I broke out float character into its own thing because I don't want it to mess with the ticking of the timeline playing. So either we're playing the timeline, we're moving, or we're floating the character. It's not going to try to do both at the same time because I don't want it to mess up the Z location. Yeah, I'm still thinking about what to do with fences. So there's, right now they just like, oh crap, why did I do that? I think they just like teleport through them. Let's see what happens. Click you, go through there. Yep, just teleports right through it, which might be fine. I might want it to have it go over it or do an effect, like if it collides or does a collision with it, a query collision, it would play an effect like teleporting, so it would actually just teleport through it. Yeah. Cool, getting some spam on the chat system. Best followers. Yeah, whatever, dude. Anyways. Yeah, so that's what I'll probably do for that. Is playing tick timeline. Again, this is where it's going to be playing that function, which is process movement timeline. So you're taking the delta time, you get the spline length, you get the location and your distance along it, and yeah, you're basically just moving, setting the actor location along that each tick. It's just going to keep moving forward. And one super funny bug that I had, and actually I could probably just reproduce it. Yeah, I'll just reproduce it. If you don't detach the spline component from the actor, if you're attaching it as a component, it moves with it. So what ends up happening is your character just keeps moving further because it's trying to follow the spline, but the spline keeps moving, and it's, yeah, my 7-year-old kid was having a blast playing with it, making it like just go crazy, which I might be able to show. We'll see while that builds. All right, so I think if you just press play, and it just it just like shoots off in space. Yeah, if we pause it, eject, you can see they're like super far away. Actually, I could probably just focus on them. And if we show their, yeah, I'm paused. I think if I draw debug, it's weird it's not showing the, oh, I think I have to click the, oh, that's weird. It's not showing me the spline debug line. Oh, I set it to false. That's weird. I thought it did. Anyways, you could see the spline coming out of the actor, so we'll just keep following it, and that's why I kept moving. And that took me a little bit to figure out. I'm like, huh. And then I was just walking to the store, and I realized, like, oh, yeah, the spline's attached to the actor. It's just going to keep chasing it forever. So, yeah, that's how that, always detach. And just in case I reattach it every time it moves, just to make sure, like, I attach it, and then basically when I move character, I detach it. I don't know if you need to do that, if it's cool to just have it detached the entire time, but I figure it might have some like location data with it, so I just don't take the risk and just reattach it. And then you hit play, and then it runs to the timeline, which is pretty straightforward, pretty cool. And that's movement. So we've covered pretty much in exactly 30 minutes. Movements, we got the screenshots, we got the HUD. One thing, maybe I'll talk about it next time, but I think I'll talk about it next time, is the Unreal's gameplay ability system. I started reading up on that, and it seems really cool. It seems really nice, but it seems kind of involved, and I don't know, because a lot of it is geared towards network replication, which I don't need, but there's certain things that I might want to use, like gameplay tags and gameplay cues. Cues are nice because you can say, I want to play this effect and this sound effect at the same time, so you can set these cues up. So I might have to really dig into that to see if I can fit that together with my ability system, because it would probably save a lot of work once I figure out how to do it. But yeah, I'm pretty tired, and I'm just trying to slowly get myself back into this. So I will be back on Sunday, and I don't know if I'm going to have anything done. I'll probably just fix bugs, because the one thing I didn't really show... Oh, yep. Oh, yeah, you can kind of see it here, is it's the spline starts from the actor, which is actually down here at 0, 0. And I can't figure out why it's creating that spline point. It's driving me nuts. It shouldn't be there. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, that's it for this week, or today. Until next time. Thank you.